The rain hammered against the diner windows as Janelle Hughes wiped down the counter, her hands trembling. Not from exhaustion, though God knew she was tired, but from the way the drunk man in booth 7 kept staring at her with predatory intent. She'd served men like him before, men who thought a smile meant invitation, but something about tonight felt different, dangerous. The diner had gone silent, that terrible quiet before violence, and when he grabbed her wrist as she passed, fingers digging into her skin with bruising force, she did the only thing she could. She reached out desperately and grabbed the hand of the stranger sitting alone in the corner booth. The moment their eyes met, his dark, intense, achingly familiar, the drunk man released her and stumbled backward, suddenly sober with fear. Janelle didn't understand why until she saw how every person in the diner had gone silent, watching the man whose hand she clutched. He stood slowly, his presence filling the space like an approaching storm, spoke 3 quiet words in Korean, and the drunk man fled into the rain. Only then did Shin Jun-ho smile and say, "You grabbed my hand 5 years ago too. This time I'm not letting you disappear." Janelle Hughes had learned long ago that survival meant keeping your head down, your smile polite, and your dreams small enough to fit between responsibilities. At 28, her life had narrowed to 3 things: her job as a waitress at Rosie's Diner on Chicago's South Side, her bedridden mother who'd suffered a stroke 2 years ago, and her 3-year-old daughter Mia, whose father had vanished the moment he saw the pregnancy test. The diner's fluorescent lights buzzed overhead as she balanced 3 plates on her left arm, coffee pot in her right. Tuesday nights were slow, which meant sparse tips, but at least she could breathe between orders. Her feet ached in worn sneakers she'd been meaning to replace for months, but new shoes meant choosing between comfort and Mia's preschool tuition. "More coffee, sweetheart?" she asked the elderly couple in booth 3, her smile automatic, despite exhaustion. "You're an angel, Janelle," Mrs. Patterson said, patting her hand. "How's your mother?" "Stable, thank you for asking." Such a clinical word for watching your mother fade daily, trapped in a body that no longer obeyed her mind. The medical bills were crushing even with Medicaid, and the home health aide who came 3 times weekly cost money Janelle scraped together from tips and prayers. But Mama had raised her alone after Daddy died, had worked 2 jobs to keep them afloat, and Janelle would be damned if she'd put her in some facility where she'd die among strangers. The bell above the door chimed. A man entered, rain dripping from his expensive black coat, and something about him made her pause mid-pour. Korean, she thought, perhaps mid-30s, with sharp features and a presence that seemed to pull the air toward him. His dark hair was styled with precision, and even in casual clothes, expensive casual, he carried himself with the confidence of someone who never asked for anything twice. He chose the corner booth with the best view of both entrances, and Janelle felt the strangest sensation of being watched even though his eyes never seemed to land directly on her. "I got it," she told Rosa, grabbing a menu and approaching. "Welcome to Rosie's. Can I start you with something to drink?" When he looked up, his eyes were the darkest brown she'd ever seen, almost black. For a moment, something flickered across his face. Recognition, perhaps, but it vanished quickly. "Coffee. Black." His voice was deep, accented but clear, carrying undertones of authority. "Coming right up." She turned away, unsettled by how her pulse had quickened. When she returned with coffee, he still hadn't opened the menu. "Have you decided?" "The soup. And whatever you recommend." No one ever asked her opinion. "The meatloaf is good tonight. Rosa makes it from her grandmother's recipe." "Then I'll have that." He handed back the menu, and their fingers brushed briefly. His skin was warm, and she noticed a thin white scar on his hand. "Thank you, Janelle." She froze. She wore a name tag, yes, but the way he said her name, like he'd been waiting years to say it, sent a shiver down her spine. "You're welcome," she managed, retreating to the kitchen. "Girl, who is that?" Rosa asked, peering through the window. "He looks like dangerous money." "Just another customer." But even as she said it, she knew it wasn't true. The evening progressed with its usual rhythm. The Pattersons left at exactly 7:47. Teenagers came in ordering fries and milkshakes. The man in the corner booth ate slowly, methodically, and every time Janelle glanced his way, she found him watching her with intensity that should have frightened her, but didn't. It was nearly 9 when Brad Morrison walked in, a regular of the worst kind, a construction worker who drank his paycheck and thought buying a burger gave him ownership of the waitstaff's dignity. Tonight he was drunker than usual, meaner, and when she approached his table she could smell whiskey from 3 feet away. "Well, well," he slurred, eyes traveling over her body. "My favorite waitress. Come sit with me, sweetheart." "I'm working, Brad. What can I get you?" She kept her voice level despite her instincts screaming to walk away. "You can get me your number." His hand shot out and grabbed her wrist, fingers digging in with bruising force. "Been asking nice for months. Maybe you need different convincing. Let go." Fear spiked through her, sharp and cold. The diner had gone quiet. Everyone watching, but no one helping. Rosa reached for the phone to call police, but that would take time Janelle didn't have. Brad stood, grip tightening, his other hand reaching for her waist. "You think you're too good for me? You're just a—" Janelle didn't think. She just reacted, reaching desperately to her left, where the man from the corner booth had suddenly materialized. Her hand found his, gripping like a lifeline. "Please, he's—" She didn't know what she was going to say, but it didn't matter, because the moment her hand touched his, everything changed. The man looked down at their joined hands with profound satisfaction. Then he lifted his gaze to Brad, and Janelle felt the temperature drop 10 degrees. He didn't raise his voice. He simply spoke 3 words in Korean, soft and precise, and Brad released her instantly, stumbling backward with absolute terror on his face. "I'm sorry," Brad stammered. I didn't realize." And then he was gone, running into the rain. Janelle stood frozen, her hand still gripping the stranger's, her heart hammering. Slowly she looked up at him, at the man who'd just made a drunk twice his size flee with nothing but words. "Thank you," she whispered. "I don't know what you said." "I told him," the man said quietly, "that if he ever touched you again, he would learn why people in this city know better than to cross me." His thumb brushed her knuckles, gentle despite the threat he'd just made. "My name is Shin Jun-ho, and you, Janelle Hughes, just grabbed the hand of the most dangerous man in Chicago." He said it like a promise, like a confession, like he'd been waiting 5 years to tell her. And somewhere in Janelle's mind, in a memory she couldn't quite grasp, she remembered rain and darkness and a stranger's blood on her hands, and the desperate prayer that he would survive. Janelle pulled her hand back as if burned. The most dangerous man in Chicago. The words should have sent her running. Instead, she found herself rooted to the spot as the diner returned to normal around them. "I should go," she said, but her feet refused to move. "Thank you for your help." "Finish your shift," he completed her sentence. "I'll wait, then I'll drive you home." "That's not necessary. I take the bus." "Not tonight." Not a command, but not a suggestion either. "It's late. It's raining, and you just had a frightening experience. Consider it my apology." Rosa appeared at her elbow. "You okay, mija?" "I'm fine. Just shaken." "You take your break," Rosa said, then turned to Jun-ho with fearless directness. "And you sit back down and wait like a gentleman, or I'm calling the real police." To Janelle's surprise, his lips curved slightly. "Yes, ma'am." He returned to his booth without argument. Rosa guided Janelle to the back room, pressing hot tea into her hands. "That man is either going to be the best thing or the worst thing that ever happened to you. He's just being nice. Men like that aren't just anything, baby girl." Rosa squeezed her shoulder. "But he looked at Brad like he was deciding if killing him was worth the inconvenience. That tells me he keeps his word. So if he says he'll drive you home safe, you'll get home safe. And if he's the danger, then your instincts would be screaming. Are they?" No, they weren't screaming danger. They were humming something else entirely, recognition that made no sense. She finished her shift hyper-aware of Jun-ho's presence. He ordered nothing else, just watched her work with attention that felt protective rather than creepy. At 11, she retrieved her coat. Jun-ho waited by the door with an umbrella. "Ready?" "I should tell you," she said as they stepped into rain. "I have a daughter and a sick mother. I don't have time for complications." "This," he said, opening the door of a sleek black car, "is me making sure you get home safely. Nothing more. Not tonight. Not tonight." The implication hung between them. Against her better judgment, she slid into the passenger seat. The interior smelled like leather and something expensive. Jun-ho settled behind the wheel with economical grace. "Where to?" She gave her West Inglewood address, watching for judgment. He simply nodded and pulled into traffic. They drove in silence for minutes, the city streaming past in ribbons of light. Finally she asked, "What did you mean when you said I grabbed the hand of the most dangerous man in Chicago?" "Exactly what it sounded like. I run an organization most people avoid, but you didn't know that when you reached for me." "No, I just needed help, and I'll always give it to you." The certainty in his voice made something flutter in her chest. "That's a promise. You don't know me, don't I?" He glanced at her. 5 years is a long time to remember someone's face. Ice flooded her veins. "What? You don't remember? It was dark, raining harder than tonight, and I was not at my best. But fragments were surfacing. A night during college, cutting through an alley, finding a man collapsed and bleeding. She'd called 911, stayed with him, held pressure on wounds with her scarf while he drifted in and out of consciousness. "Oh, God," she whispered. "That was you. That was me." He turned onto her street. "You saved my life that night, and then you disappeared before I could thank you. I had a midterm, the ambulance came, and I just left. You were going to live. To you, perhaps. To me, it was everything." He pulled to a stop outside her building. "I looked for you, for months, but I only knew your face and the fact that you were the kindest person I'd ever met. I'm not kind. I couldn't leave someone to die. Most people did. You were the only one who stopped." He turned to face her fully. "Do you believe in fate, Janelle?" "I believe in bad luck and bills coming due." She reached for the door handle. "Thank you for the ride. I'll see you tomorrow." "Not a question. I work 7 to 3. Then I'll see you at 7. He pulled out a card and pressed it into her hand. "If you need anything before then, anything at all, call. Day or night." She looked at the card. Shin Jun-ho. Just a phone number. "Why are you doing this?" "Because 5 years ago you grabbed my hand in the dark and gave me a reason to live." His voice dropped. "Tonight you did it again. This time I'm not letting you disappear. I have a daughter and a sick mother. I can't afford complications." "I'm not a complication." The way he said her name made her heart stutter. "I'm a solution to every problem you've been carrying alone." It was too much. She fled the car, running through rain to her building, but not before hearing him call, "Sleep well, Janelle. Tomorrow everything changes." As she climbed 3 flights to her apartment, where her mother slept, and her daughter dreamed, Janelle realized with certainty Shin Jun-ho was right. Everything was about to change. Janelle didn't sleep. She lay beside Mia's small body, thinking about the man whose life she'd saved, and whose hand she'd grabbed twice, 5 years apart. At 5:30, she gave up and rose. The apartment was cold, the landlord stingy with heat, so she wrapped herself in a cardigan. Coffee first, then checking on Mama, then getting Mia ready. Her mother was already awake, brown eyes sharp despite her paralyzed body. The stroke had stolen her speech and movement, but not her mind. Dorothy's knowing look suggested she'd heard Janelle's restless tossing all night. "Morning, Mama." Janelle adjusted pillows, checked the water cup. "How'd you sleep?" Dorothy made a soft sound. "I slept fine, but you didn't. Something happened at work." She sat on the bed's edge. "Remember 5 years ago, when I found that man in the alley? He came into the diner last night. His name is Shin Jun-ho. He said I saved his life, that he's been looking for me, and when a drunk grabbed me, I reached for him without thinking. Mama, he made that man run with just 3 words." Dorothy's eyes widened. She made another sound. "I know. He said he's dangerous, runs some organization, but he didn't feel dangerous. He felt like safety, like someone who keeps promises." Her mother squeezed her hand weakly. "I won't do anything stupid," Janelle promised. "I've got you and Mia to think about." But she wondered if Jun-ho was a mistake or a miracle. At 6:45, she dropped Mia at preschool. The morning air was cold as she walked 6 blocks to Rosie's. She'd left early to compose herself, but when she rounded the corner and saw the sleek black car, her heart kicked into overdrive. Shin Jun-ho leaned against the car in dark slacks and a charcoal coat. When he saw her, something in his expression softened. "You're early," she said, stopping at a careful distance. "So are you." He extended a coffee cup. "Caramel macchiato with an extra shot," I guessed. "How did you—" But she took it, and the first sip was exactly right. "I asked Rosa yesterday what you usually order." He said it like interrogating her co-workers about coffee was normal. "I wanted to get it right. This is too much. You can't show up every day with expensive coffee." "Why not?" He stepped closer. "You won't let me pay your bills yet. So I'm starting small. Mr. Shin, Jun-ho." He moved nearer still. "We've held hands twice and saved each other's lives. Use my first name." "I didn't save your life last night." "Didn't you? You reached for me first, trusted me instinctively. That's a different kind of salvation, Janelle." Rosa appeared in the doorway. "Janelle, you coming in, or you gonna catch pneumonia?" Heat flooded her cheeks. "I'm coming. I'll be here at 3, Jun-ho said, "to pick you up. I can take the bus. I know you can, but you won't. Not anymore." The morning shift blurred, but Janelle was hyper-aware of the card in her pocket, the coffee warming her stomach, Rosa's significant looks. At noon, everything escalated. A Korean man in a sharp suit walked in, younger than Jun-ho, distinctly out of place. He approached the counter and waited with infinite patience. "Can I help you?" "Miss Hughes." He bowed slightly. "My name is Minseo. I work for Shin Jun-ho. He asked me to give you this." He placed a phone on the counter, sleek, new, expensive. I already have a phone, with a cracked screen and a battery that dies by 2 p.m. Min-seo's voice held kindness. He worries. This will give him peace of mind. How does he know about my battery? But she knew. Junho noticed everything. He notices what matters to him, and you matter very much. Against her better judgment, she took the phone. There's something else. Min-seo pulled out an envelope. A doctor will come to your home tomorrow at 10 to examine your mother. Junho has arranged the best neurologist in Chicago. Absolutely not. I can't accept that. Do you know how much specialists cost? Do you know how little that cost matters to him? Min-seo's voice firmed. When he invests in something, it's because he's decided it has value beyond measure. You saved his life. Let him try to balance that debt. There's no debt. No. Min-seo met her eyes with devastating sincerity. You did what almost no one did. Several people passed that alley. You were the only one who stopped. That kind of courage is rare. He's never forgotten it. Now that he's found you again, he'll move heaven and earth to make sure you never struggle alone. Tears burned her eyes. Min-seo bowed deeper and left. Rosa appeared at her shoulder. What was that? I think I'd just let a dangerous man into every corner of my life. How do you feel about that? Janelle thought about medical bills, about Mia's worn shoes, about the constant terror of one emergency destroying everything. She thought about Junho's eyes, his promise she'd never carry burdens alone. Terrified, she whispered, and more hopeful than I've been in years. Then trust your gut, baby girl, but keep your eyes open. At 3 p.m. sharp, Junho was waiting. This time, Janelle didn't hesitate. She climbed in and turned to face him. A neurologist, really? Your mother deserves the best care. He pulled into traffic. And you deserve not to worry yourself sick over bills you can't pay. I can't let you do this. It's too much. Janelle, he glanced at her. In my world, I deal in debts and threats and violence, but what I feel for you isn't a transaction. It's the first thing in a very long time that feels real. You don't know me. I know you work at that diner, that you quit a second job to care for your mother. I know you have a daughter named Mia who loves purple. I know you take the same buses weekly, buy generic everything, haven't bought yourself new clothes in over a year. He stopped at a red light and turned fully. I know you're the strongest, most selfless person I've ever met, and if you let me, I'll spend the rest of my life making sure you never have to choose between dignity and your daughter's dinner. Her hands trembled. What do you want from me? Everything. He said it simply. Your trust, your time, eventually your heart. But I'll wait. I've waited 5 years. I can wait longer. I have a daughter, she repeated, her last defense. I know, and I'd like to meet her properly, as someone who wants to be part of your lives. He took her hand. I'm not asking for blind trust, just one chance to prove I'm worth the risk. The light turned green, but he didn't move until she nodded. Okay, she whispered. One chance. His smile transformed his face. That's all I need. He drove her home, and when she got out, he called after her. Tomorrow night dinner, somewhere nice. I'm picking you up at 6. Wear something that makes you feel beautiful. Before she could protest, he was gone. Inside, after Mia was bathed and in pajamas, Janelle told her mother everything. About the phone, the doctor, the dinner invitation. Dorothy listened, then squeezed Janelle's hand and made the sound that meant, trust yourself. That night, Janelle found a message on the new phone. Sleep well, Janelle. Tomorrow I start showing you what it means to be cherished. For the first time in 3 years, she went to bed feeling something other than exhaustion. She went to bed feeling like maybe she deserved happiness. The neurologist arrived precisely at 10, Dr. Sarah Chen, refined and confident. She spent 2 hours examining Dorothy, asking detailed questions, frowning at the scant records. Your mother should have had this care from the beginning, Dr. Chen said gently afterward. The initial treatment was adequate but not optimal. There are therapies we can try, medications that might improve her mobility and quality of life. I can't promise full recovery, but I believe we can give her substantially more than she has now. How much will it cost? Janelle braced herself. Dr. Chen closed her bag with precise movements. Mr. Shin has established an account for your mother's care. All costs are covered, medications, therapy, equipment, home health aids. My only concern is your mother's well-being, not finances. I can't accept that. With respect, I don't think you understand who Shin Junho is. He doesn't make gestures. He makes commitments. Fighting that would be like fighting the tide. Accept it with grace and focus on your mother's recovery. After she left, Janelle sat with her mother in silence. Finally, Dorothy gestured toward the closet. How you want me to find something to wear? Another sound, affirmative. Mama, I don't know if I'm doing the right thing. He's dangerous. Her mother's eyes stopped her. They held fierce love and wisdom earned from raising a daughter alone. Dorothy squeezed her hand and made the sound that meant, "Trust yourself." That evening, Janelle stood before her tiny bathroom mirror, barely recognizing herself. She'd used part of the money to buy a dress from a consignment shop. Emerald green, fitted but elegant. Her natural hair was styled in soft curls, and she'd bought makeup, cheap but carefully applied. Mia sat on the closed toilet, watching with wide eyes. "Mommy, you look like a princess." "Do I? Not too much?" "You're beautiful, Mommy." Mia's certainty made tears prick Janelle's eyes. At 5:55 there was a knock. Janelle opened it to find Junho in a black suit, holding purple irises and white roses. For a moment they just stared. Then his expression transformed, something deeper than a smile, more reverent. "You're stunning." "Thank you. You look very nice too." "Flowers." Mia appeared shy but curious. "Are those for Mommy?" Junho crouched to her eye level. "These are for your Mommy, yes, but I brought something for you too, if it's okay." He pulled out a small wrapped package. Janelle nodded permission. Mia unwrapped it carefully, revealing a beautiful illustrated edition of fairy tales with gilded pages. "It's so pretty," Mia breathed. "Thank you, Mr. "You can call me Junho," he said gently. "And you're very welcome, Mia. Can you read me one story before you go? Please." The request caught them both off guard. Janelle started to refuse, but Junho stood smoothly. "I would be honored. If we have time." "We have time," Janelle heard herself say. She watched as this dangerous man settled on her worn couch with her daughter and began reading about princesses and dragons. Mia listened with rapt attention, and when the story ended, she hugged him impulsively. "You're nice," Mia declared. "I like you." "I like you too," Junho said genuinely. "Very much." Mrs. Chen arrived to watch Mia and Dorothy. In the car, Janelle said what she'd been thinking. "You didn't have to do that. The story. I wanted to." He navigated traffic with ease. "Your daughter is remarkable. Smart, curious, affectionate. You've done an incredible job. I've done my best. It doesn't always feel like enough. You're more than enough." He glanced at her. "Perfect. Exactly as you are." The restaurant was unlike anywhere Janelle had been. A rooftop establishment with floor-to-ceiling windows, offering panoramic city views. The maître d' greeted Junho by name and led them to a private corner table. "This is too much," she said. "This is barely a beginning." He held her chair. "Tell me about your mother, Dr. Chen called." So she did. Over courses of exquisite food, she told him everything. About her father's death when she was 10, about her mother working 2 jobs to raise her, about community college and teaching dreams that evaporated with pregnancy, about Marcus, who'd promised forever and delivered 6 months. "He left when I told him I was keeping the baby," she said, staring at her wine. "Said I was trapping him, ruining his future, as if I wasn't terrified too. He was a fool." Junho's voice was cold enough to frost glass. "And if you want, I can make certain he regrets that choice forever." She should have been appalled. Instead, she felt fierce satisfaction. No, he's gone. Mia deserves a father who wants her, not one forced into it. She does, and she will have one when you're ready. He said it with absolute certainty. "When you trust me enough." "You want to be her father?" "I want to be whatever you need me to be." He reached across and took her hand. "I told you I'm patient. I'll wait as long as it takes." "Why me? You could have anyone without baggage." "Because 5 years ago, when I was bleeding out, I'd just been betrayed by my own cousin, left to die by people I trusted most. And then you appeared, this stranger, with the kindest eyes. And you didn't hesitate. You didn't call police first or worry about danger. You just helped. You held my hand and told me help was coming, that I'd be okay." His thumb traced circles on her palm. "I'd built my life on power and fear and loyalty bought through intimidation. Then I met you, and you taught me genuine kindness still exists. I'm not that special. You are to me." He lifted her hand to his lips, kissing her knuckles. "You've been special since you refused to let me die alone. Now I'm asking, let me return the favor. Let me help you actually live instead of just surviving. I'm scared of trusting someone again, of letting Mia get attached, of being wrong about you. Fear means you're smart." He didn't release her hand. "But I promise, I will never make you regret this chance. I will never leave. I will never betray your trust. And I will spend every day proving you can trust me with your heart." Looking into his eyes, she saw truth, determination and vulnerability, and something like love beginning. "One day at a time," she said finally. "I can't promise everything now, but I can promise to try." That's all I ask. His smile was brilliant. Now tell me about teaching. Why did you want to be a teacher? And she did. And he listened like every word mattered, like her abandoned dreams were treasures worth protecting. And somewhere between dinner and dessert, Janelle felt her walls crack a little more. They were leaving when everything shattered. 3 men stepped from shadows, blocking their path. Shin Junho. The Kim family sends regards. In a heartbeat, Junho moved, pushing Janelle behind him. Janelle, get back to the restaurant now. No. The word came before thought. I'm not leaving you. These men want to hurt me. Like I left you bleeding 5 years ago? She grabbed his jacket. No, we face this together or not at all. Something flashed across his face. Surprise, admiration, something deeper. He pulled out his phone, pressed one button. This is a public space, he said with deadly calm, and you're making a mistake. The mistake was yours, the lead man said. You think you can disrespect Kim Sunwoo? I think, Junho replied, voice dropping to something cold. Kim Sunwoo is about to learn why I'm the one people fear, and I think you have 30 seconds before my people arrive. The men hesitated. Cars appeared. Black, sleek, full of suited men. Minseo emerged first with 5 others, and suddenly the attackers were surrounded. Take them, Junho said quietly. Send Kim Sunwoo a message. If he ever threatens what's mine again, there won't be enough of him left to send messages. The men were removed efficiently. Minseo approached. Boss, are you? I'm fine, thanks to her. Junho turned to Janelle, hands shaking slightly, the only sign of how close they'd come to violence. You should have run. I told you. I don't leave people to face danger alone. She grabbed his face. Even dangerous people who run criminal organizations. He laughed, broken with relief. You're going to be the death of me. Not if I can help it. She was shaking too. Take me home and tell me everything. Because if we're doing this, if I'm letting you into our lives, I need to know what world I'm stepping into. In the car, he told her everything. About his organization, about codes and territories and violence, about his cousin's betrayal 5 years ago, about rebuilding from nothing, about enemies who would always exist. I can't promise perfect safety, he finished outside her building, but I can promise the best protection available. I can promise no one will harm you or Mia while I'm alive, and I can promise I'm working toward a way out, toward legitimacy, toward a life that won't constantly endanger my family. How long? Until you're out? 2 years, maybe 3. I have plans, investments, legitimate businesses already profitable, but I can't just walk away until the transition is secure or everything collapses and violence spreads. I have responsibilities, people who depend on me. Janelle thought about Mia sleeping upstairs, about the life she wanted, safe, stable, free from shadows. But she also thought about how he'd protected her tonight, read to Mia, looked at her like she was precious. 2 years, she said finally. I can wait 2 years. But you have to promise me that at the end you're done, that we get a normal life. I promise. He cupped her face. 2 years, and then I'm yours completely. No more danger, no more shadows. Just us. And Mia. And Mia. His smile softened. I meant what I said. I want to be her father if you'll let me. I want to be the man she calls for help, who teaches her to be brave, who walks her down the aisle one day. Tears spilled down her cheeks. That's a long commitment for someone you've known less than a week. I've known you for 5 years. I just didn't have you yet. Now I do. And I'm never letting go. He kissed her then, soft and careful and full of promises. When they pulled apart, she rested her forehead against his. Don't make me regret this. Never, he swore. I'll spend my life making sure you never regret choosing me. She believed him. And as she climbed stairs to her apartment, Janelle realized that for the first time in years, she wasn't just surviving. She was beginning to live. The next 3 months passed in impossible happiness. Junho became constant in their lives, picking Janelle up daily, having dinner with them often, reading to Mia before bed. He paid for a better aid for Dorothy, covered Mia's preschool tuition at a place with art and music programs, and slowly, carefully, worked his way into their family's fabric. True to his word, he was patient. He didn't push for more than Janelle was ready to give, didn't demand declarations. He simply showed up day after day, proving through actions he was staying. Mia adored him. Within the first month, she'd started calling him Uncle June, and by the second month asked Janelle seriously, "When is Uncle June going to be my daddy?" The question sent Janelle into quiet panic, but Junho simply knelt to Mia's level and said gently, "When your mommy says it's time. But until then, I'll be right here every day taking care of both of you." Mia nodded seriously and hugged him, and Janelle fell deeper in love. Dorothy improved dramatically. She'd regained movement in her right arm, could make more sounds, and the pain had eased. She'd also developed a soft spot for Junho, making encouraging sounds whenever he visited, and giving Janelle looks that said, "Don't let this one go," as if Janelle could, as if she wanted to. But in the third month everything unraveled. A text from an unknown number: "Your boyfriend's secrets will destroy you. Ask him about the warehouse fire in 2019. Ask him who really died." Janelle stared at the message, ice forming in her stomach. She'd accepted Junho's dangerous world, but this felt different. Personal. She waited until Mia was in bed. "Tell me about the warehouse fire in 2019. Color drained from his face. "Who told you? Does it matter? Is it true? Did someone die?" "Yes." He stood, pacing to the window, shoulders rigid. 3 people died. 1 was innocent, a security guard in the wrong place. The others were rival gang members targeting my territory. It was early in my leadership. I had to prove I'd do what was necessary. I made a choice: protect my organization or show weakness that would get more people killed. I chose protection. But someone innocent died. The words felt like glass. "I gave the order, and I'll carry that guilt forever." He wouldn't look at her. "It was the worst mistake of my life. There's no excuse. You said you'd never lie to me. I didn't lie. I just didn't tell you everything because I knew it would change how you see me, and I wasn't ready to lose you. So you kept it secret. What else are you hiding?" "Nothing. I swear there are no other secrets like this." "Do I?" She stood. "Do I really know you? Or have I been falling in love with a version you curated?" The words hung between them. Falling in love. She'd admitted it, but in anger rather than tenderness. "You're falling in love with me." He stepped toward her. Don't use my feelings right now." "I'm not." He stopped. "I'm falling in love with you too, since that night in the diner, and I'm terrified of losing you over mistakes I made before I knew you'd come back into my life. That guard had a family. How do I reconcile that with the man who reads fairy tales to my daughter?" "You can't." His honesty was brutal. "You either accept I'm both people, the man who's done terrible things to survive and the man who wants to be better because you make me want to be better, or you walk away. I'll understand if you do, but please don't walk away." Janelle thought about Marcus, who'd broken promises, about her father, who'd died too young, about all the ways life taught her trusting men was dangerous. But she also thought about the past 3 months, about Junho's patience, his gentleness with Mia, how he cared for Dorothy. "I need time," she said. "I need to think without you, here making me feel things that might cloud my judgment." "How much time?" "I don't know, a few days, maybe more." He nodded, accepting it with pain. "I'll wait, as long as you need. But Janelle," he paused at the door. "That security guard's family? I found them. Set up a trust fund, covered expenses, made sure his children could go to college. It doesn't bring him back, and I'll carry that guilt forever. But I tried to make amends the only way I could." After he left, Janelle sat in the dark and cried. For the guard who died, for the complications of loving someone with blood on their hands, for the impossible choice she faced. The next morning, everything got worse. She was walking Mia to preschool when a car pulled up, older, dented. 2 men got out fast, and before Janelle could react, one grabbed Mia. Her daughter's scream pierced the air. Janelle fought with everything she had, but the second man grabbed her arms, wrenching them behind her back. "Get in the car, or the kid gets hurt." Terror flooded her system. She stopped struggling, let them push her into the back seat where Mia was sobbing, and wrapped her arms around her daughter as the car sped away. "It's okay, baby," she lied, voice shaking. "It's going to be okay." But it wasn't. They were driven to an abandoned building, dragged into a room that smelled of mold and despair, and left while their captors made calls in Korean. Mia buried her face in Janelle's chest, and Janelle held her and thought about the phone Junho had given her, the one charging at home because she'd only been walking 2 blocks. "Mommy, I want Uncle June," Mia whimpered. "I know, baby. Me too." Janelle pressed her face into her daughter's hair and prayed. Hours passed. The men gave them water but no food, spoke in Korean she couldn't understand. Finally, the door opened. A man in an expensive suit entered, older, mid-50s, with cold eyes. "Miss Hughes, I apologize for the drama, but Shin Junho needs to learn actions have consequences. Let my daughter go." Janelle kept her voice steady. "She's 3. She has nothing to do with your problem with Junho, but she has everything to do with you, and you have everything to do with him. The man Kim Sun-woo smiled without warmth. He's been distracted, sloppy, making mistakes because he's playing family man. So I'm teaching him a lesson about priorities. By terrorizing a child? Rage cut through fear. You're pathetic. You call yourself a leader, but you're just a coward who hurts innocent people because you can't face your real enemy. Kim Sun-woo's smile vanished. He stepped closer, and Janelle braced for a blow that never came. His phone rang. He answered, listened, and his expression changed from smug to concerned to fear. You're bluffing. A pause. You wouldn't... Another pause. Fine. They're unharmed. He hung up and looked at Janelle with grudging respect. Your boyfriend just threatened to burn my entire empire if you and your daughter aren't released in 10 minutes. He's already hit 3 of my warehouses, frozen my accounts, has men surrounding my family's home. So congratulations, Miss Hughes. You're apparently worth starting a war over. Within minutes they were outside, and a black car screeched to a stop. Junho emerged, and the look on his face was murder and relief and terror. Janelle, Mia. He reached for them, and Janelle didn't hesitate. She ran to him, letting him wrap them both in his arms, while Mia cried, Uncle June, the bad men are never going to touch you again, he said, voice shaking with rage. I promise, they will never touch either of you again. He got them into the car, barked orders at Min Seo in Korean, then turned his full attention to them. Are you hurt? Did they... We're okay. Janelle was trembling violently, scared, but okay. This is my fault. He looked destroyed. This happened because of me. Because Kim Sun-woo wanted to hurt me. Stop. Janelle grabbed his face. This happened because Kim Sun-woo is a monster, not because of you. You hear me? This isn't your fault. I should have protected you better. You found us. When it mattered most, you were there. You saved us. Always. He pulled her close, and over Mia's head, his eyes met hers with fierce intensity. I will always be there. And now, Kim Sun-woo is going to learn what happens when someone threatens my family. My family. The words settled into Janelle's heart like a key turning in a lock. That night, after Mia finally fell asleep, after Junho had read her 3 stories and promised 100 times the bad men were gone, Janelle and Junho sat on her couch in exhausted silence. I was going to tell you, he said finally, that I understood if you wanted space, that I'd respect whatever you decided. But today, his voice broke. Today, when Min Seo called and told me you'd been taken, I've never felt fear like that. Not when my cousin betrayed me, not when I was bleeding out. Nothing compared to knowing you and Mia were in danger because of me. I was going to tell you, Janelle countered, that I needed time to think about the warehouse fire, about whether I could accept your past. But today, when Mia asked for you, I realized something. She already sees you as family, and so do I. He turned to her, hope and fear warring in his expression. I love you, she said, the words coming easier than expected. I'm terrified and this is complicated, and your world is dangerous, but I love you and I choose you, both sides of you. The man you were, and the man you're becoming. Janelle! But, she continued firmly, if we're doing this, if you're going to be part of our lives, you have to promise me something. Promise me you're done in 2 years, that you find a way out and take it, because I can handle danger temporarily, but I won't raise Mia in a world where we look over our shoulders forever. I promise. He took both her hands. 2 years. And I'm accelerating the timeline. I'll work day and night to make it sooner, because you and Mia are my priority now. Not territory, not reputation. You, always you. She kissed him then, deep and desperate and full of all the fear and relief and love she'd been holding back. When they pulled apart, she rested her forehead against his. You grabbed my hand in that alley 5 years ago, he whispered. And tonight in desperation you grabbed it again, not knowing I'd waited all these years for you, not knowing I'd already decided you were mine, and now you're telling me you love me, and I... His voice broke. I don't have words. Then show me, she said. Show me every day. Be there for Mia. Help me care for my mother. Build the life you promised. And in 2 years, marry me, and give my daughter your name. His eyes went wide. Are you? I'm not proposing yet. I'm giving you something to work toward. She smiled through tears. Prove you can leave that world. Prove we can have normal. And then ask me properly. And I'll say yes. Deal. He laughed, the sound watery with emotion. 2 years. And then I'm making you Janelle Shin and becoming the father Mia deserves. And until then I'm yours. Completely, irrevocably yours. He pulled her close. You saved my life twice now, Janelle Hughes. The least I can do is spend the rest of mine making sure you never regret it. Years had passed, and the small West Englewood apartment had been replaced by a Hyde Park brownstone. Comfortable, not ostentatious, with space for a family that had grown in all the ways that mattered. Janelle stood in her kitchen, sunlight streaming through windows that actually worked, watching Mia help her younger brother stack blocks. Mia was 7 now, confident and bright, fiercely protective of her little brother. "Careful, Marcus," she instructed the toddler patiently. "If you stack them too high, they'll fall." Janelle smiled at the irony of the name, not after Mia's biological father, but as reclamation. This Marcus would grow up knowing he was wanted, cherished, protected. In the converted first-floor bedroom, Dorothy sat in her wheelchair reading. She'd never regained full mobility, but the pain was managed, and joy had returned to her eyes. She spent her days reading, watching her grandchildren, communicating through the tablet Junho had bought. The front door opened. "Daddy!" Mia launched herself at Junho, who caught her easily. "How was school, Princess? I got an A on my math test, and Tommy Anderson said girls couldn't be good at numbers, so I told him my daddy taught me math and he's the smartest person I know." She said it with fierce pride. "That's my girl." He ruffled her hair. "Though your mummy might argue about the smartest person part." "Mummy's the smartest about different things," Mia said reasonably. Janelle laughed as Junho crossed the kitchen and kissed her thoroughly. "How was your day, Mrs. Shin?" Mrs. Shin. Even after 3 years, the name thrilled her. "Busy. The school called. They want to interview me for the full-time position next month." She'd finished her teaching degree 2 years ago, while Junho made good on his promise to leave his criminal enterprise. He ran legitimate businesses now, restaurants, real estate, imports. "You'll get it," he said with certainty. "They'd be fools not to hire you." Over dinner, noisy and chaotic with Mia chattering and 2-year-old Marcus banging his spoon, Janelle looked around and marveled at how far they'd come. From that desperate grab in a diner to this, to family dinners and homework, and the beautiful mundane rhythm of normal life. That night, after the children were asleep and Dorothy settled, Janelle and Junho sat on their back porch, watching stars emerge. "Do you ever miss it?" she asked quietly. "The power, the fear?" "No." He never hesitated. "I miss nothing about that life. This," he gestured to the house, "this is the only power that matters. The trust of my wife, the love of my children, the peace of knowing I'm building something that won't crumble. We did good, didn't we? We did impossible." He kissed her head. "You grabbed my hand twice in desperation, not knowing I'd spent 5 years searching. And now I get to spend the rest of my life holding that hand, keeping it safe, making sure you never have to grab for anything in desperation again." "I love you," she said simply. "I love you more." Their nightly ritual, a debate they'd never settle.